Men used to go to war. That's all I'll say. Are you kidding me?
Maybe they should go again.
I won't obey that order. You make me sick with your heroics. There's a stench of death about you. You carry it in your pack like the plague. Explosives and L pills, they go well together, don't they? And with you, it's just one thing or the other. Destroy a bridge or destroy yourself. This is just a game, this war. You and that Colonel Nicholson, you're two of a kind. Crazy with courage. For what? How to die like a gentleman. How to die by the rules. When the only important thing is how to live like a human being.
Besaba a las chicas como las besa un actor. Conquistaba reinos hechos con su ilusión. Y luego se despertaba llorando al saber que su amor, sus héroes y la muerte nada tienen de diferente. Se marchó tirándose por el balcón, gritando que esto no es un juego.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Sex and Design. Come for the promise of sex and stay for the design. I'm Dr. Sex. Let me take a seat. We continue our journey through the development of Believe in War, anti-war tabletop role-playing game we are developing. Today is our third Devblog, where I'm finally going to talk about the cultural hero systems. So, I think this theory explains very well the behavior of human societies in war and its possible causes. For me, it was a very useful thing to stumble upon, because it brings together all the references and concepts I had researched for the project and needed to connect. Also, disclaimer, I'm going to talk briefly about this, focusing on the parts that are more valuable to my project. So please do not expect a full review and analysis of this theory. Ernest Becker was a 20th century anthropologist from the US. We're going to focus in two of his works. On one hand, The Denial of Death, from 1973, that argues that the primary impulse of human beings is escaping from death, a natural fear to die. On the other hand, Escape from Evil, 1975, that uses his thesis from The Denial of Death to try to explain the origins of human evil. In The Denial of Death, Becker argues that the first priority of humanity is to escape from death. Unlike animals, humans are always conscious of this inevitable destiny. So, seeming impossible to avoid death in a literal manner, humanity tries to escape symbolically. Becker establishes that all of human culture is built around this solution. It nurtures us and gives the opportunity to be part of something greater than ourselves. Cultures specifically provide significant reasons that, when understood, let death transcend. In short, cultures provide heroism. This is the basic function and role of the hero in history. He is the one who bets his own life and successfully defies death, and men follow him and eventually praise his memory, because he embodies the triumph of what they fear most, extinction and death. This is obvious when applied to war. Between chaos and death, the hero stands like a force that preserves life. Merely with his presence is capable of convincing others that they can also triumph over death, despite death being around every corner in a combat situation. If we understand cultural systems like hero systems, we can understand why there are certain individuals that will sacrifice for their beliefs. In these cultures, physical death is a small price to pay for symbolic immortality. As you may notice, the hero culture is paradoxical. In its desire to escape death, the individuals are now more focused in obtaining immortality than in preserving their own lives. But Becker also argues that they are the driving force of human evil and are intrinsically connected to evilness. Yes, evil exists, and it comes from hero systems. Why is that? Let's recap a little. We have talked about how the main human desire is to obtain immortality. Symbolical immortality, that is. Because it is the only possible one. We have also established that the main way to achieve this are the cultural hero systems. So, heroism is a way of denying human physical limitations, also known as our animal nature. What is animal nature? In short, the human basic condition is that we are animals and that we exist. The denial of these physical limitations, the denial of the fact that we are also animals, the sensation that we are worthless creatures is called the shadow. Everyone has this denial or shadow inside their human psyche. Something that we are ashamed of and refuse to recognize. A characteristic we all have as a species. This denial in heroism is what inspires the combatants to certain death situations. They do not recognize that they can die, that they have physical limitations, and they think that they are not worthless and can sacrifice for something greater. Suppressing this shadow is not effective, because it will always emerge. However, what hero cultures do is to project this shadow outwards, towards their enemies. These systems lead to scapegoating, projecting this evilness onto others, an efficient tool to organize society under these systems. Blaming foreigners, other nations, religion, ideologies. Projecting outwards this shadow, is key. On one hand, it transforms this shadow, this part of ourselves that we hate the most, in something that can be destroyed. It unites people against a common enemy that now exists and can be killed. On the other, it appears to give a forgiving sensation on the individuals who externalize it, giving them the chance to redeem themselves in confronting this enemy. This is how cultural hero systems cause human evil. Hence, an individual so indoctrinated by his hero system will be unconscious in how it is leading them towards evil. It is important to note that the appearance of evil is not linked to a specific group or evil attitude, rather to enormous social structures that surround and blind us. While a heroic immortal victory is a promise to the members of these societies, evil becomes something external to the system. Something that is not part of these hero cultures, but part of others, so they can be destroyed or wage war upon without regret. There is a fine line between recognizing a real threat to ourselves or our community, or using that threat to deceive ourselves into thinking that we can eliminate our shadow by taking the life of another. A deception that usually appears in actions such as, if we eliminate this threat, our freedom can be preserved. Or, if we end this war, we will end all of them. Becker also established that all wars are holy wars, in the sense that they all serve as revelations of destiny, as proof of the divine favor and a way to purge evil from the world at the same time. If there is one thing that the tragic wars of our time have taught us, it is that the enemy has a ritual role to play, through which its destruction, evil is redeemed. Thus, the hero culture reinforced the beliefs that only its followers are destined to be heroes, while others are meant to be condemned because they are the shadow, and we are the saviors. Hero cultures promote then a holy crusade towards their destiny. This is why in hero systems, violence and suffering are always redeemable if serving the bigger purpose. What man truly fears is not extinction, but rather an insignificant extinction. So the lives sacrificed in search of these actions are easily justified as symbolic deaths, thanks to which something insignificant has been achieved. So the dead have transcended and obtained immortality in the cultural hero system. This eases their loss, for them and for their society. Despite all this, in cultural hero systems there is a complete unbalanced hierarchy. They are not equilibrated power structures. This could appear to be because of power and greed, but no, it is because our own fantasy of immortality. Our only worry is ourselves and our immortality. So, the leaders or other important figures are completely absorbed by their hero systems. They are generally very disconnected from reality and lack all sense of humanity. They are ready to sacrifice the lives that are necessary for their victory over death. But as Becker says, this is an imbalanced structure, because the sacrifice that the leaders have to make are less significant than those of the members below them, who are generally paying with their own lives. But it's difficult to dismantle a cultural hero system. The fear that dying has no purpose and there are no heroes is what haunts militaristic culture or even the purpose of life and many things our species has done. However, it can be cruel to eliminate this way of understanding death and the consolation of the pain of loss. But we have to try, because this way of thinking is still spreading human evil. But are we accomplices of failing in trying to spread an anti-war message and fight against these hero systems? I think the anti-war potential depends a lot on each person. Becker also does his most conflicting remark. He says that the observer is by definition fundamentally selfish. This is the price of our animalistic narcissist nature. Very few of us, if pressed, would be reluctant to sacrifice another in our place. Maybe that is the reason heroes and their stories are culturally and socially admired. They are an exception to this rule. But be wary. Becker advised of the danger of adoring heroes as an end, and not as the means or inspiration to reach a significant transformation. We project our desires of heroic victory in these heroes and enjoy them as if they are our own. We think that, if the situation presents, we will be capable of doing the same heroic sacrifice. In conclusion, Becker established that our instinct is to escape death with a symbolic significance, how hero systems rise to achieve this, and how all these have destructive consequences when projecting our fears and weakness into others. This is not something that we may get over, but something necessary to cope with life. After all, Becker says that moral dependency is natural in the human condition, and we must be absolved by something greater than ourselves. This is why we need heroes and villains, that, again, according to Becker, make us the impossible animal. One that follows a behavior that is, at a general level, destructive to them, but at an individual level needed to do healthy actions. In the end, Becker points out that human beings are violent due to our primal fears, the fear of death, and this generates social structures that, under the promise of immortality, causes wars when expressing these fears to others outside their culture. But if all this is caused by primal sensations, we have the opportunity to examine and maybe ease these fears. Becker imagines an ideal world based in the problem of immortality. A world that recognizes the fear of extinction and insignificance, whose leaders are conscious of their deepest fears and always have in mind the cost of human life. A world that calls its hero systems into question. I think this will be all for today. This theory, though, is related to many other aspects of anthropology and sociology. If we acknowledge it, it can be used as a mirror for introspection, helping to build up a game system that serves us to think about and critique our hero systems. In the next Devblog, I will talk about what a tabletop role-playing game is. You may be surprised. Thank you all for watching. I will gladly read your feedback if you want to give it. Just please be constructive. I also apologize for my English, not my first language. Farewell.
Le llamaban Johnny el guapo y era feliz cuando le corrían bichos por la nariz. Soplar hacia adentro fue su mayor